Many congratulations to the top three finishers of the FIA Formula One Singapore Grand Prix. In third place, Lewis Hamilton. In second place, Lando Norris. And taking his second win for Ferrari and his first of this 2023 campaign, our winner, Carlos Sainz. Carlos, what a race. Many congratulations. Tension throughout. What aspect of this victory are you most proud of?
It's difficult to pick one. Honestly, everything. We have to be extremely proud of the weekend that we put together. We've had one opportunity this year to win the race, which was here in Singapore, and we nailed it. We didn't put a foot wrong all weekend, and yeah, there was a lot of moments out there that we were a bit under pressure, you know, and we kept it calm. We kept our plan, our strategy. We had to play with tire degradation, with pit stops gaps, with DRS, and playing with all that and managing to keep everything under control. We managed to bring home a win that was never easy, but that definitely feels incredible. Given
your pace all weekend, just how confident were you? How confident were you prior to the start?
Yeah, it was very difficult to tell before the race whether we would have the pace to obviously race pace to win. But I felt like even if we didn't, by managing and controlling the gaps and controlling the pace and the tire degradation, I could create myself the opportunity to win, no? And obviously keeping P1 at the start and then from there controlling the race, it was the whole plan. And that safety car came a bit too early. Going into a hard tire in lap 20 wasn't my preference, especially because I had managed very well the medium, and I felt like we could have gone a lot longer. But it was the right call. And then, yeah, that stint on hards was always under control until the VSC came out and gave the Mercs the opportunity to stop. And we were clearly under a lot of pressure there at the end.
Well, how nervous were you about the Mercs in those closing laps?
At the beginning, not so nervous because I felt like I had a lot of pace in hand to push the last 12, 15 laps. But immediately I felt like as soon as I started pushing, my tire degradation started to kick in. And I think Lando and I were sliding a lot. Then it surprised me quite a lot how quickly the Mercs managed to pass Charles and close the gap on Lando and me. And at that point, I thought, okay, it's not going to be easy. And these last 5, 6 laps is going to be a fight. And at that point, obviously, I had to change a bit the strategy. I had to give Lando a bit of a cheeky DRS boost. And that helped us to keep them behind and win the race and get the win for Ferrari. That feels great.
How did you manage the gap to Lando without leaving yourself open to attack from Lando?
It's always tricky because you always put yourself under extra pressure, no? Because then you know that then you cannot have a lockup, you cannot have a single mistake or a snap, because it means that then Lando is going to have a chance to overtake you if he's on DRS, no? So yeah, at that point, you decide to give him DRS, hoping that that's going to be enough to keep the Mercs behind. There was in particularly one lap that I think Lando defended into 16, 17, and then I had to slow down a lot in turn 1, 2, 3 to give him DRS again. And I think that move actually saved my race, saved also Lando's P2, because I feel like there we were, if not, I would have been also dead meat. If the Mercs would have passed Lando, I think they could have got past me pretty easily.
So Carlos, quick at Monza last time out. Brilliant race victory here in Singapore. What does this mean for Suzuka next weekend?
Honestly, I don't think it means much. I think this year it's going to be a bit like this. We've had 2 great weekends in a row, but I think the 2 tracks that we've been to have suited our car. In particularly this one, a high downforce track. I'm incredibly proud of the team that the effort that the team has done to bring a much better high downforce package here and be a much more competitive than in Sandboard. But I still think there's going to be tough weekends out there where we're not going to be fighting for podiums and we're going to get P5s, P6, and we just need to make sure that we keep getting those, if that's the maximum that the team and the car can do those weekends. But what I'm more proud is that we had one chance to win this year, and the team under pressure responded. I also responded, and we managed to put together a perfect weekend in the one chance that the Red Bull and the situation gave us. And this speaks well of the progress that Ferrari is doing, we are doing in terms of race execution.
Very well done to you. Thank
you.
you, Carlos. Lando, coming to you now. Great race by you as well. Tell us, in those closing laps, where was your focus? Going for the win or protecting P2 from Lewis and George?
It was protecting P2. I mean, George couldn't overtake me. He struggled to overtake me when he had, 5/6 lap advantage. So the chance of me getting ahead of Carlos with a maybe 1/10 advantage is there's no chance. So I think, like Carlos played it smart, there was no need for me to try and attack him. The more I attacked him, probably the more vulnerable I would have been from both the guys behind, and I wouldn't be sitting here. I probably wouldn't be on the podium if I played it differently, you know. So stressful last few laps for sure. I think we both knew as soon as the VSC came out, we had to put in a stint and a half and try and open up the gap as big as possible. But they still caught us. And then it was about not making the mistakes. I knew with George, he was going to pressure me a lot. He did. I had to defend quite a bit into 15 or 14. That's when then Carlos backed off after that when there was a little bit of a gap and allowed me to get the DRS, which was very helpful. So I think we together played it in a smart way to get the Mercs to stay behind us. The last lap then I had a bit more of a breather. I hit the wall where George also hit the wall, but I hit it with the front. So I kind of panicked a bit, thinking maybe I just messed it all up. But it damaged the steering in terms of it was just off center, but luckily it wasn't nothing more than that. So an amazing race, a stressful race from start to finish. A lot of management, but perfectly executed.
Did you think Carlos was helping you initially, or did you think he was making mistakes?
I mean, he made a couple of mistakes, but no, I think our pace was strong. Honestly, I think initially I started to catch him myself. I think our pace was a bit better towards the end of stints. The Ferrari was probably better in the initial part of stints. So I think I would have caught up to him ever so slightly anyway. And I think I would have got into DRS, but it was more when there was a gap, when I was most under pressure from George. That's when he helped me out. So yeah, I guess it helped me keep him from not getting under pressure, from not getting attacked. Because I'm sure if I got overtaken, Carlos would have had a lot more stress too, you know. So, but he drove a great race, both George and Lewis, and of course Carlos drove a great race to not make any mistakes, not have any lockups and any of these things, and finish the way we did.
Strategically, how challenging was it out there? Were you tempted to pit during the VSC yourself?
Nope. If we went to safety car, we would have boxed, but VSC not. I think on paper the Mercs were, you know, if there was no traffic, they didn't have to overtake. The Merc strategy was way faster. You know, if we weren't in the way, they would have been 10 seconds ahead of us quite easily. But there's always the task of overtaking, which in Singapore is one of the hardest tasks. And especially at the end, and with a couple of those attacks from George, I think it just put his tyres a little bit over the edge, and he didn't attack me as much after that main attack that he did. So it's always a difficult challenge here in Singapore, is the management and looking after the tyres, but you're kind of a bit dictated by the guys ahead of you, and of course you're looking in the mirrors from the guys behind you. But we had a perfect pit stop to get ahead of Charles, and a perfect strategy to get ahead of the Mercedes as well. So the team did an excellent job today.
And it was the first race back for your race engineer, Will Joseph, after he's been on paternity leave. How helpful was he guiding you through it?
I mean, he's always been very helpful. I've been with Will since 2018, 2017, in fact. He was the guy, my first kind of engineer that I was introduced to, and guy that I worked with. So a good relationship that I have with Will, and even Jav, my performance engineer. He's come back after being away for 3 years. So it's our first podium together as well, which is nice. Actually, our first podium ever together, because he left end of 19, and we went on to score a podium in the first race in 2020 in Austria. So this will be our first podium together, but they've been working extremely hard. The whole team have, and of course we've had the upgrades this weekend. So I do have to say a big thanks to the whole team, because the progress we made from where we were in the beginning of the year to now is quite exceptional, to be on par with Ferrari and Mercedes and beating Red Bull on a weekend like this. So proud of all of them. We know we have a lot more work to do, but it's paying off.
Very well done to you. Thank you, Lando. Lewis, coming to you. Thank you for waiting. Look, can we start by talking about the decision to pit during the VSC? Was it clear-cut in your mind that it was the right thing to do?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we needed to take the risk, have a shot at trying to get past some of these guys and going for the win. I think we had really good pace, so I think the team did a great job. I don't know. I think for George was in second at the time. Maybe if I was in his position, I probably would have stayed out and at least kept the McLaren behind. But we gave it a shot, and it was really fun to be hunting these guys down. But as Lando said, it was just too difficult to pass in the end.
Were you quicker than George in that last stint?
Well, I mean, based on our times, I think I was about half a second lap up. But I think it was just it's so difficult to overtake here. You need like a second and a half deficit to the car ahead. And what was really surprising is that the hard hadn't dropped off as much as we had thought. But also our tyres dropped off a lot in trying to catch up the huge gap that we're behind.
Lewis, how much was this race a case of what if for you? I mean, had you not had to give those 2 positions back at the start of the race, do you think you could have at least, when do you think you could have won?
I think Carlos said he had really good pace, so I think I can't say that it would have been easy to have won today. But I think our car was very strong. I think if I'd qualified better yesterday, perhaps third or even on the front row with these guys, perhaps we would have been in, of course, a better place. And I think as a team, we would have been able to work better together. But when you separate the cars a little bit more, it makes it really hard to work against 2 other drivers from another team. So I've got to do a better job there. But I'm really grateful for the hard work that everyone continues to do. Great pit stops from the lads in the garage, and faultless in their performance through the weekend. So and also with strategy and everything. So I think we are progressing. We just got to keep working away.
Well done, Lewis. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great drive. Let's open this to the floor. Name and publication, please.
Scott Mitchell-Mum from the race. This is a question for Carlos. Carlos, that win completes a very, very high-class weekend for you and comes off the back of the performance at Monza and Zandvoort before it. You seem to be in a really rich vein of form after the summer break, but do you feel you were performing at this before the summer break, or is it in this run of races where it's really come together and manifested itself in these kinds of complete performances?
Yeah, I think in terms of car and driving understanding, I think before the summer break there was this already decent feeling with everything. I just sat down with my engineers in the summer break and we said, okay, what can we do to start putting the whole weekend together? Because clearly we have a lot of pace. We are doing some good things, but we are never putting the whole thing together. So let's see what we can do to improve that and start having consistent performances in the second half, because the potential is clearly there this year. And yeah, Zandvoort was a very good weekend. Monza was almost perfect, and here I feel like it was the perfect one, no? And makes me very happy and proud, that when you work, you analyze, and you also have the speed like I've had this weekend. It is always paying off, and we managed to put everything together. And yeah, very happy for the engineers, for the whole mechanics, the team, everyone.
Thank you, Carlos. Yep, next one.
Jesus Balseiro, Diario AS, question to Carlos. Ferrari clearly bet on you today to win the race. They even used Charles to build your gap at the first stint. This wasn't like that in the past, or even in Monza, they let you to fight. So what has changed, or how did you manage to prove Ferrari you can be the race winner and the first choice for a race?
I honestly don't think the team bet on me. I think we were trying to do the best possible race for both cars. And that was coming by obviously Charles keeping a bit of a gap and a bit of breather in case there was a safety car. That is exactly what happened, no? So to be honest, this weekend I just had a lot of pace and I was feeling at one with the car and I had everything under control. Those last 5 laps before the safety car, I managed to extract also a lot of pace out of those medium tires. I don't know, I just felt comfortable. I felt everything under control, and of course, when you are the lead car, it's always gonna be easier.
Thank you. Another one.
Jay Balls, Local Autosport. Question for Carlos again, please. Carlos, obviously that DRS strategy did work in your favour, and I guess in very intense circumstances it required a lot of clarity of thought. Was this something that you'd kind of considered and had premeditated, or were you just kind of improvising in the moment? Thank you.
Well, this is a sort of strategy that you always keep on the back of your head in tracks like Singapore, no? That it might come useful at some point. The thing is, obviously, it's easy to think about it, at least it's easy to have it in mind. There's also, but it's a lot more difficult to execute it, because it does put you under some extra pressure, and it comes with its risks. And it's all about having that commitment to do it and to put yourself under that extra risk. But I felt like that was my only real chance of winning the race, and I wanted to win. And especially, when I had that 1.3, 1.4 gap to Lando after he defended into 16 to take the decision to slow down in turn 1 and turn 3, I was like, well, I hope this works, because if not, it could look really, really bad on me. But it worked, and sometimes you need to trust your instinct, trust your feeling. I've been trusting that this last 2 weekends, and it's working well.
Thank you. Yep, another one.
Niharika from Sportskeeda. Question for Lewis. Lewis, as an experienced driver on the grid, and you've been in pressured situations throughout your career, what is the difference between getting it all together in a pressured situation like today and getting it completely wrong, as in case of your teammate? What is the thought process behind maintaining your calm and just pulling through a good result by the end of it? Carlos.
Well, I mean, it's we're all trying to be millimeter perfect out there, and it's very, very easy to make mistakes. It's very easy for any of us to have been in the position that George was in. He's been driving phenomenal all weekend, so it was really unfortunate for him last lap to finish that way. But he continues to grow. He's continuing to improve. So I know that he's going to keep getting stronger and faster, which is and if there's any way I can help, I will be a part of that naturally over the next couple of years. But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of experience. I've been here a long time, so putting together a race is not that it's easy, but the race is where I'm most comfortable on track. And yeah, I think it's just keeping your head down. It's trying not to make. But if you look at last year, for example, I made a mistake in turn 7 and went off and crashed into the wall. So it can happen to any of us, and it's just one of those things.
Thank you. Yep, another one.
Luke Smith from The Athletic. Carlos and Lando, a question for you guys. Carlos on the radio said it was a nice bit of Car-Lando action to keep the Mercs at bay. For you guys, is it extra special, given you're such good friends, former teammates, to have worked together for a great result for the pair of you?
Yeah, it always feels a bit better, when you have someone that you get on well with and that you respect both as a driver and as a athlete, as a person. It always feels better to share those good moments. Don't get me wrong, I think if he would have had a chance to pass me at any point, he would have gone for it for the win. But I just knew that 0.8, 0.9 gap was enough to know that we could play smart. But yeah, obviously a great moment, and we were joking about it and having a good laugh about the weekend, and yeah, enjoying the moment.
I don't have much more to add. I think Carlos has said it well. It's always nice to be on the podium with whoever that you respect and get along with. So the first time we've been able to be a P1 and P2, it's in the wrong order, but it's all right for now. And yeah, I guess we had our first podium in Monaco. We were both there. So yeah, I mean, for Carlos to be on the top steps, obviously great. And he deserves it. He's done a very good job the last few weekends. But to be up there too and to share it, and yeah, just all of us. We've always got along since 2018, 2019. So yeah, always a pleasure. And I'm sure and I hope there'll be more moments like it.
Thanks both. Yep, another one.
Phil Duncan, PA. Question for Lewis, but also Lando and Carlos, if they'd like to answer. We obviously saw the Red Bulls have struggled here this weekend, and a lot of the sports fans are probably saying this was the race of the season. Does it give you hope that that this could be the beginning of the end of Red Bull's dominance, of Max dominance, and we might see a more level playing field going forward?
I mean, I don't know what. I wasn't really watching much of others this weekend, so I don't really know why they're off pace-wise. But I think it's great to see that others are, you know, the McLarens have picked up a huge amount of pace. It's great to see that Ferrari have really stepped it up, and it's I think it's a positive. I think probably if you think about it, they haven't been developing. I mean, obviously McLaren brought an upgrade here. Others are bringing up upgrades they're working on next year's car. So they have less wind tunnel time, so then they're probably using some of this year's onto next year's. They would have definitely migrated before us. So no, I don't think it's just. I think it's just one of those things. They're so clear ahead that maybe they're developing their car less, and we are still all pushing to develop our current one. So, but time will tell.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're still winning the last few races of the season. I think Singapore gave us the chance, and we used it well. But I still think the Red Bull is going to be up there in the remaining of the season, and they're going to be very, 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 very difficult to beat. I just think I think it's great for F1. You know, if both Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, Aston, we would be that 2-3 tenths quicker every race to challenge them in race pace. I think the racing this year would be incredible, and it would be 8 drivers fighting for wins, a bit like we saw today with 4 or 5 guys out there fighting it for a win around the street track. So it just shows the potential F1 has, you know, to create an incredible show. But it's true that if Red Bull have nailed the car this year and they're doing such an amazing job, they deserve to win everything that they're winning. So, yeah, obviously dreaming a bit about what F1 could be if we would all catch up a bit on them in this second half of the season and next year.
No, I don't have much more to add. If Red Bull won here, I would have had 2 race wins already. So, yeah, it's. I think there's always been great battles, you know. Sometimes it's that best of the rest pack. Now the best of the rest is kind of. I wouldn't say it's just us. I don't think Aston are far behind, and they were at the beginning of the season very close, but they've dropped off. AlphaTauri were very quick this weekend, just didn't put it together when they needed to. So I think it's great. I think often if you didn't have the best team there, the best team always seems to kind of dominate and take away the show from the rest of it. But often if you took away, Mercedes a few years ago, when you take away Red Bull now, like the battles for the rest of the positions always, I think, would have been incredible. And in many different winners every race or every season. And even for us this year, like if we could compete a bit more against Red Bull, then Mercedes would have won, Ferrari would have won. We potentially could have won in Silverstone and Budapest. So, yeah, I have dreamed of it a little bit, but I'm sure, like Carlos said, they're going to be back on track next weekend. I don't know what they struggled with this weekend, but like when I watched his onboard yesterday, I kind of laughed because I've never seen a car that bad before. But yeah, Max also laughed about it. So we'll see next weekend. I think they'll probably be back at the top.
Thanks all. We'll do one more, please.
Hi, Zura from Vavel.com. So, Lewis, this question's for you. Congratulations on another fantastic performance, claiming your 196th podium in the process. So, do you think you can hit the milestone of 200 podiums by the end of this season?
Jeez.
Only 200.
God, only 200. You guys haven't even done 196 races, have you?
I've not even done 100.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, ultimately, I've been very, very fortunate to work with some amazing people, incredibly talented people over the years, and so incredibly grateful to have been able to work with them and have the opportunity to have those podiums. I mean, I have no idea where we'll be in the coming races, but this weekend's we've had pace to be fighting for that top 3 this weekend, and it'd be interesting to see where it is in the next couple of tracks we go to. yeah, I hope I can at least get at least another podium later this year. That would be great.
Thanks, Lewis. Thanks to all three of you. We'll leave it there. Very well done. See you in Japan. Thank you.